Well, I hope everybody can see me now because I'm on a different computer here and it's all messing me up. All right, my folks, here's the situation. Donald Trump has given Iran another chance, a last chance theoretically. What's happened is that Donald Trump was about to attack Iran Tuesday. He was fully prepared for a full-scale attack on Iran. And what happened is that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates asked Trump to give one more chance, just one more chance to Iran. I'm not 100% sure I'm actually live yet. In any event, what happened was that they actually asked him to give it one more chance. Now, Iran had actually come out and like Sunday and gave Donald Trump a proposal. And of course, it didn't include any nuclear deal. So Donald Trump rejected it. He said no. And apparently, they just gave him another. I'm looking up here because this is where my screen is right now. So it's a little different from me. It's a little awkward, guys. Let's see here. Okay, I guess I am live. There I am. Good. I just pulled up on my other computer. I'm having all kind of computer difficulties here, and I don't know what's going on. So, again, what's happened, just to recap for the folks joining, is that Donald Trump was prepared to attack Iran Tuesday, and that's today for most of you now. It's 10 minutes from that Tuesday right here. He was prepared to hit them, and he was going to hit them with everything he had. And the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia said, give them just one more chance. And so what happened was that they're doing just that. The Iranians supposedly have just submitted another proposal. We don't know yet how that stands. Will Donald Trump take that or not? So apparently he says that we're having some negotiations, that they are pretty fruitful, that something's coming out of this, but we don't know. We just flat don't know what's really coming out of this, what it's going to look like. So a lot of things are in question right now. There's a lot of stuff up for debate. Here's what's happening. We know that he had promised them. He said he's going to hit them. He said like never before. And furthermore, he just got back from this whole thing with China. A lot of questions about that. So, pardon me, tonight we're not going to do news articles. I'm just going to talk. I don't have time to do news articles tonight. I've read through a bunch of them, so I'm just going to try to talk off the top of my head here for a little bit. What really went down was that it just so happens that Pakistan sent a whole squadron of fighter planes and 8,000 troops to Saudi Arabia to back them up. Now, that's kind of interesting given that Pakistan is fighting two insurgencies right now from the Al-Qaeda in Pakistan and also from the Baluchistan area, from the Baluchis. They are both battling Pakistan, and Pakistan's got to worry about maybe another conflict with India. So for Pakistan to send 8,000 troops to Saudi Arabia is very interesting. It's not enough ground forces to make a difference. Now, probably the strongest country militarily, believe it or not, is United Arab Emirates out of the Arabic countries in the Persian Gulf area. So they are pretty much armed to the teeth, and they're all prepared to take Iran on if necessary. But if we were to do any kind of ground operation, we don't have enough ground forces there either. A few thousand, Army with the 82nd, maybe. We've got one Marine Expeditionary Unit in place. I don't know if the Boxers have got there yet or not. The Tripoli's there. So we don't really have enough to make a major invasion. We might could take some islands. Qatar wants to take some islands. We could take some, maybe some of the coastal area there around the Persian Gulf. There's talk about that. The Qasem Island there, which is that big island that has a lot of Iranian missiles and so forth on. We've struck that recently. Now, the interesting thing is when we sent our three destroyers through there a few weeks ago, what Iran kind of fell in a trap because when they attacked our forces then we found out exactly where they were hiding a lot of that stuff that we didn't know about. And we pounded them and pounded them hard. And so that made a big difference. And it's degraded Iran's capability to honestly keep the Persian Gulf under control, the Strait of Hormuz, as they want to do. So if something else goes down, that's more likely. Now, there is a large European contingency. They're talking about perhaps up to 40 nations participating that is led by the UK and France that is moving some of their destroyers into the area. But they claim they're only going to run operations to keep the strait free, providing that there's a ceasefire. Of course, theoretically, there is a ceasefire, but I don't think Iran got the memo because they've been attacking UAE every swinging day throughout this whole thing. And everybody's been just kind of keeping quiet about it. In fact, in UAE, if you publish that, you get arrested. So people have to be pretty quiet there about what's really going on. They're having to keep it on the down low. So apparently it's to maintain this veneer of a peacefire, which the peaceful people in Iran just don't seem to understand what a peacefire, a ceasefire is. I'm trying to say peace fire. That's an oxymoron if there ever was one. So it's amazing the words that hit your mouth coming down in your brain from two or three places at one time. That's the way my mind works. These little guys running around in my head. They're hunting the right word, and sometimes they're throwing them all down at the same time, and they get garbled when they hit my mouth at the same time. So that's kind of funny. But anyway, so it's a dicey situation over there, any way you shape it. What I'm really expecting, I'm really reluctant to believe Iran's going to make the concessions that Trump's looking for, even though they're starting to talk a little bit more about it because Iran did come out and say, well, Trump has said that let us enrich uranium. That's true to the level you would need for maybe a nuclear power plant. Iran wanted to have a get out of jail free card and say, well, we'll do this for 5 years. And that was back when Vance was negotiating with me. He says, no, it's got to be at least 20. And I'm not sure even that's long enough, guys. See, that was one of the problems with the Obama negotiated joint comprehensive plan of agreement is that it had a sunset on it. There's only a certain amount of time that it was applicable. And there were a whole lot of different things that you had to do to notify them that you were coming to inspect things and all kind of ways that gave them ways to move their stuff around so that you wouldn't really find a lot of the stuff they had. So the JPOA, however you want to say, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Agreement, JCPOA, however you pronounce that, JPOA, Netanyahu he hated it. Obama loved it. And all the Democrats think it's the cat's meow. But it allowed a lot of latitude for Iran. And in fact, under that agreement, they did enrich a lot of uranium. And we don't know what else. There was indications they might have enriched beyond, what they claimed they were doing. But the fact of the matter is there's just a lot that we didn't know. I'm going to come to the chat in a little bit. First, I'm just going to talk news, then we'll go to the chat. We're not going to do articles tonight. I will, maybe show the earthquakes and space weather. So I'm having some computer difficulties and other things going on here right now. I was really surprised I couldn't go live off the computer. I went live off a zillion times, but that's another story. I'm actually using my desktop tonight, first time in years that I've gone live off of it. And I had to, we're going to do it later. So guys, here's the bottom line. Iran is talking. They know they're about to get pounded really hard. They know that they have insurgents inside the country that would like to take out the regime, although they don't have weapons sufficient probably to do that. So it's a big question if they would really negotiate in good faith. They've not shown any real signs of it so far. So I'm not optimistic. I mean, we can hope and pray that maybe they will, but the best thing we can hope for is that that regime will fall to the people there. And I've said that from the get-go. That's the only real hope we have, because you can't trust the Iranians because it's in their religion. It's in their belief system that they have to set up a larger war with the West. And they really wanted to do it at a little bit later point in time. Essentially, Trump kind of nipped it in the bud, hitting them when he did, because their plans were to do some bigger stuff. It's one of their beliefs. It's in their Constitution. I laid this stuff out to you guys in the past. I showed you what was in their Constitution, what was in their beliefs. And this is why they've held on so hard to that uranium. That's why they've taken such a beating and not given it up, because it's fundamental to who they are. It's fundamental to what they think their mission in this world is, why they're here, why they exist, why they eat, why they breathe. That's what they believe. And it's hard to fight a belief system like that. It's hard to negotiate with a belief system like that. Frankly, Reagan used to have this adage, trust but verify, but that verify better be very darn good. And it wasn't under the JPOA, the joint, I left the C out, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Agreement that Obama negotiated some time back. So these are all things that are true. It is very true that there's just a lot going on there that we don't know about, that we don't understand about those people, because it just don't fit the Western way of thinking. And we have people all the time trying to ascribe to them Western thinking. It's not applicable. I just don't think we can negotiate with those people at all. My Zoom on this computer, I try to go live on, is doing stupid stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna need to close it down. I don't even know why I got it open. I got another keyboard in the way of it right now, the one I'm using for my main computer. But anyway, so here's what's happening. The American forces are all arrayed for an attack. Israel is chomping at the bit to go. Hey, we got super chatting now. Thank you so much, Carrie. Appreciate that. Salute to you. First super chat in a long while, but I haven't been on in a while either. So I'm most appreciative of that. A good way to start the night off here. We won't probably go very long tonight because, like I said, we're not going to do the articles. It's late, and I got some other issues. I'll go into all that in a little bit. So why you've not seen me for a while, and a lot of stuff on that. But anyway, so bottom line is that I'm still expecting, chances are more likely than not that there's going to be a war, or a resumption. I guess there's still a war, a resumption of hostilities. If not, I really hope that they set up a negotiation process that it is tight, very tight, that the verification is solid, that there's no wiggle room like they had in the past. That is my biggest hope. So we'll just have to see how all that pans out. What would they do if the hostilities resume? If the hostilities resume, you can expect that power plants and bridges will be hit. Carg Island, that's a big question. I think Trump still wants to leave something open for the protesters, if they should have a chance to take over. But if he's not seeing it, I would expect Carg Island to get hit. If Carg Island gets taken out, then Iran's not going to have any revenue for a long time. And it remains to be seen whether or not China would step up to fund the restoration of Carg Island. But even if Carg Island is restored, I think they hit it right now. They got so much fuel stored on Carg Island and in tankers around it. That would be one heck of a firestorm, one heck of a smoke storm. It would look like. It would look apocalyptic. There is no doubt about that. It would look exceedingly beyond belief if Iran gets hit on Kargalin. That would be interesting, and not in a good way. Uh, I heard some other channel speaking recently about a lot of fuel being in there. You know, it's rained petroleum in Tehran after the Israelis hit the whole facility there. There was so much petroleum in the air, and there was talk about a lightning storm after one of these refineries got hit, maybe setting off some of the petroleum. And they were questioning, well, it happen, can it happen? Well, yes, it can happen. You can have a big explosion in the atmosphere from lightning setting off fuel. These guys, you know, they got the so-called military channel. They never heard of a fuel air explosive. Blew my mind. These so-called two guys, supposed to be military experts, geopolitical guys, they're on every day live for hours on end. Never heard of a fuel air explosive. Never heard of a Fay bomb. My mind went boom. I couldn't believe it. You know, it's been referred to as a poor man's nuke. It's a bomb that would drop and spew a lot of fuel out and then detonate that fuel in the air. It's kind of like a granary when it explodes. What makes a granary explosion so powerful? What makes a fuel air bomb so powerful? It's because the fuel to oxygen ratio. If you get a solid fuel, its surface area with available oxygen, unless it's got oxygen built into it, is minimal. And that's what happens in a fire. It's that boundary layer that's burning. But if you atomize the fuel and mix the oxygen, just like injection in a piston, you want to get as much fuel and oxygen mixed as possible. Because the more mixing you've got, see, and smaller particles have more surface area. They're totally exposed to the air. The more you have a lot of fuel droplets, small atomized fuel droplets in an area mixed with air, the greater the explosive yield. I've even seen proposed in a book I read back in 1980 on future warfare, the proposal to just put Fay bombs on cruise missiles. You know, the idea of being poor man's nukes. The idea being you could set up a whole wall of fire basically and stop an enemy. And the notion was to be able to stop advance of Russian troops with non-nuclear means of basically just establishing a big wall of fire they just can't get through. Taking out a lot of troops with these things. I think we used Fay bombs on Iraq during our war with Iraq. We did. And it would basically jelly people in their foxholes. The detonations are huge. They're stupendous. I worry about somebody using these ag sprayer drones in that method, just spraying out a lot of fuel in the air and detonating it. You could have very big, powerful explosions that way. So that's just something that blew my mind that these guys never heard of a Fay bomb. But that's why you come to Greg Allison here on Green Greg's. You know, I've been studying this stuff. Probably those guys weren't even born yet when I was studying this stuff. So who knows? In any event, you can get a lot of it will create a vacuum after the explosion. And some bands, well, like what the Russians have done when they call them vacuum bombs. It's not really a vacuum, but it will evacuate the area out. And once the explosion, then you get to suck air out of the foxholes once you have the detonation outside. But just the explosion itself has been known to turn people to jelly, just their organs. So, you know, a shock wave. And if it don't do that, it's going to suck the air out. That's kind of what happened in Dresden with the fire tornadoes they had after the massive bombing in Dresden. You know, that was like setting off a nuke in Dresden. There was so much fire, but the fire sucked the air out. It literally sucked the oxygen out of everything. And that was one of the horrible side effects of it. So, we've used weapons like that. We have a lot of people really question the humanity of that attack on Dresden. It was horrible. And we got another super chat tonight. Thank you there, Flavors of the Forest. I don't see your entire name there. It's part of it's cut off. But thank you for that. 2 super chats tonight. Good way to get started. So, guys, the whole thing is that now that might be part of the plan to use Fay bombs. Uh, if you don't want to use nukes, you want to take out a lot of troops. But the honest thing is, we've dropped between the United States and Israel probably 30,000 munitions in the few weeks of that war. And it said we only took out maybe 3,000, 3,500 Iraqis, not Iraqis, Iranians. So it's like, we've been trying to minimize, even with such an onslaught, the casualties. And that is just unheard of in warfare. Yet, when they were striking all we were going after military targets and they were going after civilian targets in the Persian Gulf Arabic countries, and they were hitting everybody, even Oman, which was theoretically their ally. They were even hitting Oman. They don't know any sanctity. The Iranians are back one on crazy in terms of things like this. Hey, they're highly intelligent, very highly intelligent. I've worked with the Iranians. I've had the head of the electrical engineering department. I took 3 classes from at UAH. He was the smartest guy there. He was an Iranian. My study partner, I chose one of the smartest guys to be my study partner, young guy. He was an Iranian. Uh, there's some smart people over there, but those were the good guys, the ones who saw, they were part of the dysphoria. They got out. They didn't want to be part of that madness that was going on over there under the Ayatollahs. So they got out and were not a part of that. They were very much in opposition to the Ayatollah regime, that 12er sect of the Shia Muslim faith, although they in themselves were Shia Muslims, but they didn't subscribe to that radicalism that they described to. In fact, my study buddy was always trying to convert me. So, yeah, later on when I had a Jordanian Cuban mate who was originally of Palestinian descent, he tried to convert me and everything. I said, man, I've already heard it before. I even worked for a Jordanian, so I have had a lot of contact with Muslims. I've worked for them. I have studied with them. I've studied under them. But I'm going to tell you that I have no love for the faith itself. But, hey, I had a neighbor, plumber, good guy. In fact, my beekeeper was on my place in Alabama, Muslim. So, and, there's some good people of that faith. So I'm not going to jump on it too hard here tonight. But this whole thing in Iran is nuts. It's just nuts. That 12er sect is back going crazy. And they would attack. They're attacking everybody they can anyway. So there it is. Flavors of the Force, garlic. Okay, been a fan of this channel for many years. Okay, good. Now I see your whole name. Part of it was cut off by your in your super chat. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. I'm glad you've been a fan. So I got on a little bit earlier tonight than I've been getting on, but I can't stay on too long. So here's the deal. Iran is a pressure point against China if Trump will use it. Now, I don't know what Trump's coming back from China with. I'll be honest. Yeah, supposedly there was a soybean deal in the works, and supposedly now China's agreed to buy a few billion more dollars of ag products in the United States. They're probably hungry over there. I think we should. Hey, Jason, we've not seen you in a long time. Where you been, buddy? Jason Smith. And my brother said, many of the students in the nuclear physics program at Caltech. Yeah, Iranians are smart. Yeah, nuclear physics program. They took that home, didn't they? They took that home. Probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe they stayed over here. No, look, they have built satellite launchers. They've launched satellites into space. They could build a nuke. They are smart enough. They're as smart as anybody you're going to find anywhere. The Persians, the Iranians, whatever you want to call them, they're just like anybody else. They got some people that may not be so smart, but they got some brilliant people over there. Now, some of the guys that were in college with me from over there, we got a super chat. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that. So some of the people that came over from Iran when I was in college came over just so they wouldn't have to fight Iraq. It was during the Iran-Iraqi war. And some of those kids were studying and taking like electrical engineering, but they all cheated. They weren't paying attention in class. They got out and got them a degree and wound up working in a gas station. My study buddy became a professor. He got a PhD. But so you had the smart ones and you had the ones who were just over here back then, just not being in war. I would say they probably weren't in love with the Ayatollah regime either. So, but there are some real smart people from over there. Do not underestimate them. They are not an Arabic people. They are a different people. They are Aryan. Hitler said he was Aryan. I don't think so. The Aryans are in Persia, Iran, and they went into India. That was the Aryan people. Maybe some of them got up into Europe, but that whole Hitler thing was, I don't know where he got that. Aryan business. But anyway, so yeah, the Aryans are the Iranians. They are the Aryans. And they're not blonde haired, blue eyed, either one. So, that's just a bunch of hooey. Free news every night. Yeah, well, I wished I could do it more every night. I've had some issues lately. So I'll go on that in a little bit. But so let's get back to this China business. China. Now, Xi Jinping, he spent about a day trying to lecture Trump on the city's trap. I've talked about that before. Professor Graham Allison came out with that. I actually tried to get him to interview on my channel, but he wouldn't do it. His handler thought I was too conservative, which is probably a good thing. The more I know about him, the less I like about him, to be honest. Graham Allison was one of these who went to the British schools. He went over to Oxford and all these places. He was connected with the British way. If a lot of you don't know, the City of London, ruled by the Bank of London, which is ruled by the Rothschilds, really run the Western world. Now, the city's trap pointed out supposedly 12 incidences where there was a power in place and a rising power. And what he claimed was that the 8 out of 12 cases, there were wars between those different cases. And he was specifically talking about the Peloponnesian Wars, where Sparta felt that Athens was getting too big for the britches because Athens was a rising power. And so Sparta decided to nix them. And Thucydides was a historian that wrote about this and talked about how there was, the tension between a rising power and a power already in power. And so 8 out of 12 instances that Graham Allison pointed out, there was war. Now, I didn't mention this in the previous video, and I went over the 4 cases where there wasn't a war per se. And it was usually because the countries were either already tightly allied or the rising power just couldn't make it quite enough. In the case of Russia and the United States, Russia just ran out of steam, but we had a massive Cold War, and there were proxy wars all over the world. You can say we kind of sort of had proxy wars with China already in Korea. There's a lot of Chinese troops fought in the Korean War. And both Russia and China, mainly Russia, supported Vietnam. So there is a lot of stuff to consider about all that. Trump gave some Chinese rose seeds at the end of the ritual in the Rose Garden. Well, maybe it shouldn't exist. So this whole thing what he did over in China was supposedly to stabilize the relationships between the two to try to prevent direct conflict. But he also made deals with the Indonesians so that we could block off the Malacca Strait if needed. Now, right now, since we're down on a lot of our high-end interceptor missiles going into a direct confrontation with Iran China would be very problematic. However, Chinese equipment has not shown itself to be so spectacular, and partly because of that, Xi Jinping has purged his general forces, the generals, his top military, In fact, the generals that was there when he took power, including the next few years afterwards, a lot of them he put in place. Only one's left. And in fact, of the field grade officers he put in power, colonels and generals, there's only three left out of what, two or three dozen. He took a lot out. He wiped them out. So, he fired them. A lot of them were arrested. Some of them just disappeared. Some were officially put under, all because of what he just recently referred to was not having, how did he say this? Having the CCP in their heart or divided attention to it. I don't know how the exact words, but that translates, that's a catchphrase that goes way back, idiomatic expression in China. It basically means that your loyalty to the man in charge wasn't there. And so, or he questioned it. But you got to know this is what happens when you become an emperor. When you become a dictator, you start fearing everybody around you. Stalin did the same thing. Stalin, one of the worst career jobs you can have in Stalin's Russia was to be the direct support to Stalin. Your life was limited. I mean, you'd rise in the ranks, but when you got that close, you were in peril. I've been to Stalin's apartment door. It's in the Stalin lived in the Sovietsky Hotel, which used to be one of the ritzy hotels in Russia before they opened the Cosmos, the one I stayed at. But I did visit that place because we considered it for some subsequent meetings because we were looking to negotiate obtaining the Russian Lunar Globe for a Lunar X Prize endeavor. I was there in 2010 before things got heated like they are today. Anyway, met some great people over there. Absolutely. But the situation is that, yeah, it was kind of scary being at his door because you knew he was such a horrible person. But as a grand hotel, a lot of American actors and actresses and famous people stayed in that hotel over the years because that's where they would go. It's like a grand old lady, she's got her wrinkles now, but the elegance is still there. The elegance is still there. But I stayed in, it's called the Cosmos, had a big statue of Charles de Gaulle in front of it, so we're close to their space museum and all that stuff. This was in March of 2010 that I was there. But anyway, so Xi Jinping has purged a lot of his forces because, in part, their equipment failed, and it failed in Venezuela, it failed in Iran. It's just not up to par. Why? It's made in China. That's the biggest reason. So the Bible equates China with Magog. It may be, or it may be the red dragon from the book of Revelation. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I'm telling you, China is still the biggest threat to human civilization. I firmly believe. Well, the next closest threat would be that city of London, the New World Order, the House of Klaus. It's all together. It's globalist junk, globalism, the European version of it. So what they did, the British set up Chatham House. And so this is where part of the Thucydides stuff is just don't hold. They set up the Chatham House. So, we might have revolted from, we might have been looking like we were taking over the world. But what they did through their Chatham House is they set up in the United States, that's their internal think tank that answers to the city of London, which is its own little country within the United Kingdom. We got any Brits in the house tonight? We got anybody from the United Kingdom? You tell me if you disagree with me. I'd like to hear it. But anyway, so guys, what happened is through that they set up the Council for Foreign Relations in the United States, the CFR. And the CFR wound up being the so-called political think tank in this country. And it's all tied in with our military, and not so much our military, our intelligence organizations, the CIA, FBI, especially the CIA, the British MI6 through the Chatham House. They're all tied together through this. And for many, 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 many years, like from Woodrow Wilson on. Most of your key staffers, most of your key administration officials, whether Republican or Democrat, were members of the CFR. And the CFR puts out a lot of reports, a lot of news. You see them talking, a lot of the talking wagon heads on your TV, especially Sunday talk shows, are CFR members. Yes, Jason, they're tied in with Mossad, absolutely. And you can probably bet they're tied in, I would expect, with Epstein, that this runs very deep. He was probably just one of many tools, just a tool. That's all it was. How did some stupid high school teacher wind up being so rich and influential? Because they used him. They used him as a tool to blackmail important people around the world, also to gather intelligence. And he had some weird religious things going too. So, has anyone asked Rick if he has a spook? What, around here? No, ghosts are afraid of me. They're not coming anywhere around me. No, the ghosts keep away. I learned the trick to that. All the bad ones. It's Jesus. If you're coming under spiritual attack, if them so-called demons or space aliens are coming to abduct you, you just say Jesus, 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 and mean it. And they will go away. So there you are, my friends. Yeah, all these space aliens that we're talking about that are around here, they're demonic. So anyway, so that's one thing JD Vance is right about. So whether you like him or not, yeah, I agree with him on that one. So I'm taking it Timu Rosie. I wouldn't get anything Timu. In fact, I had their app on my phone and I deleted it because I read that they use that app to spy on you. And same with TikTok. A lot of my friends got TikTok, Tiki-Taki. So in any event, guys, I'm going to read through the chat room a little bit. I'll go through it in more detail. just letting you guys know that that's the two spheres we got to worry about is the globalist and the Chinese. And I think that at some level they're working up with each other. I mean, when you get the likes of David Rockefeller going to China and then coming back and saying, hey, this is how we need to run the world. And then then you got Klaus Schwab doing the same thing. Don't that tell you something? Doesn't that tell you something? There's something there beyond what meets the eye. And they look like they're on different sides, but they're all on the side of taking your freedoms, putting you in a world where you have no property. They say you will have no privacy. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. Yeah. Sounds like the promises of communism, which never turns out to be the kind of system they're really promoting. What they tell people they're going to get is never what they get. And socialism is communism light. I'm sorry. If you disagree with it, tell me so. But it really is. It's like a gateway drug. Socialism is a gateway drug to communism. You can quote me on that. I don't believe I've ever heard it put quite that way. Maybe I'm not the first one to say that, but quote me on it. Socialism is the gateway drug to communism. That's what it really is. If you disagree with that, say so. Yeah, we got some lithium deposits in Appalachia. Appalachia's also got pure silicon. Not found anywhere in the world. That's where all the chips are coming from. And what we ought to do, if China's going to hold back on rare earth metals, then we ought to hold back on silicon to them. Something. We need to find some leverage other than just wide open trade with them. I think we ought to have put tariffs at 400%. We need to. China's, it's easy to forget about the long-term game, guys. It's like We play checkers. Well, we didn't even play checkers. We're playing tic-tac-toe, and they're playing multidimensional chess. They play for the long game. And we just think about the jingle in our pockets, and we get very short term in our perspective, and we lose sight on that we could lose our country. See, one of the things that why China thinks that the United States is fallen is because they have got forces all inside this country, people, organizations funded by Roy Singham and that Code Pink, his wife runs that, Roy Singham's wife. And, they're trying to foster division right here in the United States. They are trying to foster civil war right here at home. They may get it started. Let's hope it don't come to that. Yeah, Taiwan is building a large chip manufacturing place here in Arizona. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, TSMC. So that's going to take a few years for that to come online. But it's not just the chips. It's that Taiwan is really the chink in the armor of the first island chain. And the whole deal with the first island chain is it does help contain a country that is committing genocide against its people that wants to export that worldwide. You look at what they're doing to the Uyghurs. You look what they're doing to anybody that's not Han Chinese or anybody that is Han Chinese that don't subscribe fully to the CCP. It's not good for them. Look what they've done with the Uyghurs. Says I was playing ping pong. All right, so ping pong's fun, I suppose. They like to call it table tennis, the people that play it. They don't like to call it ping pong. They like to call it table tennis. In any event. So just get back to this Thucydides trap thing. So what Xi was trying to do, you can call him Xi, everyone. I think Xi is actually, when you say Xi Jinping, you don't say it Xi, but when you just say Xi, everybody calls it Xi. I don't know, Chinese is weird. In any event, so what he was trying to do was to warn Trump about the potential war, like Trump don't know it. And he's using that Thucydides trap. But he missed one little thing in this Thucydides trap analogy. Talking about the rising power as if the rising power is going to displace the power in place. Russia failed to do it. No, but they don't have the manufacturing capacity of China. But China's manufacturing capacity is waning. Their economy is built on a house of cards. It's crumbling. But bigger yet is that she missed the point. The rising power, which is analogous to China in this case, would be Athens. The rising power lost. Sparta beat them. Sparta, it took them a bit. I mean, Athens had a big victory, but in the end they lost. They lost to the Spartans. Of course, the Spartans were the most warlike people there ever was, probably, except for the Macedonians under Alexander the Great. They were quite a war tribe. So, Xi Jinping maybe shouldn't have thought out that little analogy before he tried to hammer it so hard. But going back to this whole thing, when I was talking, the reason I brought up all this Europe stuff, the Chatham House, the CFR, because one of the examples that supposedly allowed the rising power to rise up, that was an exception to the Thucydides trap, was the United States supplanting Great Britain. Now, Great Britain itself, the United Kingdom, has withered almost nothing, yet they control the United States. The United States didn't really usurp them because they used their nefarious little conniving ways to wrestle control of our country. And our intel organizations have been one of their chief ways of doing that. And just controlling the think tanks, the news media. Again, who are most of the talking heads on all these shows that show up on Sunday mornings? Go back and look how many of them are CFR. Go back and look at all these previous presidents and look at the members of their cabinets and people that filled their administrations, packed with CFR members, just packed to the hilt. So the outcome of that wasn't quite like Mr. British educated and proxy shield Graham Allison would have you think. So there you go. I've called him what he is, a City of London proxy shield. And what's the biggest thing in the City of London? The Bank of London. And he was one of the guys who ran it. Carney, the current Prime Minister of Canada. Have you noticed Carney just hates Trump, and he's also don't care for America, and he's trying to make overtures to China? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hope my friends in Alberta and Saskatchewan find a way to part company with Mr. Carney. Yeah, I wish you guys good luck with that. Yeah, well, they're in. Hey, who are the Rothschilds, Chubby? Chubby Hubby, think about it. Think about it. And if you look at the street around the Knesset, what's the name on that street? It's named after the family that funded all the government buildings in Israel. The Rothschilds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, who negotiated and got started the Balfour agreements that was the beginning of all that stuff? So I would say that Israel as it exists today as the secular government was not a government called to be in by God, unless you think the Rothschilds are the agents of God. The guy's trying to set up the one world government. If you think the Rothschilds are the agent of God, put a 1 in the chat room. If you think it might be something else, put a 2 in the chat room. What do you guys think? There's something big in question. Now, I'm not chomping down on the faith, the Hebrew faith. That's not what we're talking about. Israel is not a nation of faith. It's a secular state. Think about that. So I'm just letting you guys know some of the big picture here. Now, in Trump's defense, he's really kicked hard at the City of London in a lot of ways. That's good. He's taken us out of a lot of these UN organizations. That's good. He's kicked the NGOs real hard. That's good. He's pulled us out of the WHO. That's good. I want to just go on out of the UN while we're at it. I want to just tell the UN to pack up the headquarters and move to Europe. That would be even better. When we get out of NATO, that would be even better, in my humble opinion. So it might be a bricks trap, but it's a case that for people watching in the morning, Jason Smith says the whole thing in Iran was a bricks trap, maybe. But it's also a way, if you look at the bigger geopolitical chess of Trump getting China out of Panama, out of Venezuela, now trying to get them out of Cuba and Iran too. It's going to be a big geopolitical chessboard. I just hope that Trump sticks with that. I don't know what he's going to do next. I'll be honest. I don't know what he's going to do. Yeah, the UN needs to join up with the Hague and get the heck out of this country. I got no use for them, no love for them. I believe in rugged individualism. I believe in freedom. A lot of people in the cities don't believe in that because they're so used to services and government. They rely on the government for everything. Their utilities, their water, transportation, their dependent culture. That's why the cities get liberal. But there's another phenomenology going on in the cities that explains wokeism and the craziness you're seeing in the cities. I plan to do a video on this one day. I've been planning it for a while. It's called the Mouse Utopia. Has anybody ever heard of Mouse Utopia? An experiment they ran like 60 times where they put mice in an environment and gave them everything they needed. Yeah, we need to get out of NATO too. Every single time the mouse colony failed. I'm going to do a video on that. But before it failed, the symptoms that the mice displayed, oh, just like the woke crowd. They went woke, essentially, and then they got vicious. If Trump succeeds in Cuba, I would think the next step would be Brazil. I don't know. Brazil has gone both ways. It's not like the long history of communism we've had in Cuba. We'll come back to Cuba in a minute. We'll come back to Cuba. That's big news right now. So what's going to happen in Iran? Well, I did a video, a couple months back now, where I said probably would pound the heck out of them to some point, and then we would leave, and the regime would be under the rubble, but eventually they'd dust it off and come back out and be worse sometime down the line, that we were just basically buying ourselves time. I see my batteries on my speaker here aren't looking too good. I got a way around that, though, if it dies out. I think I do. I thought they were pretty well charged up. Yeah, these DJI mics they're not what they're cracked up to be. Not at all. Jeez. Anyway, froze 10 pounds more mushrooms. Good for you. Guys, start your planting. You can see my links in the New Leaf Garden. If you hadn't, True Leaf Garden, excuse me. If you hadn't bought your seeds, consider that. So, guys, here's the deal. With China, I've done several videos talking about the threats from China. They are a real threat. The demographics is collapsing. I'm expecting them to try to make up for that with robotics. And I've showed you how they could do that, how they could invade with it. And they are executing that plan. They actually are. They're ahead of the schedule that I projected. And when I put it out there at first, people thought I was nuts, off the rocker. But China's doing exactly that. So nobody else told you that ahead of time. I did. So there's certain news items you don't get anywhere else. You get it right here. And yet I get, oh, there's nobody watching. Just a few people, the smart ones. That's you guys. Anyway, so Club of Rome was created in 1968. Pierre Elliott Trudeau was there. Yeah, who set it up? David Rockefeller. David Rockefeller was the youngest chairman of the CFR. Then he started the Trilateral Commission. He started the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome came out with their little report, Meadows and Meadows, said which provoked the book The Population Bomb, said we're going to run out of everything by the year 2000, that we had to cut population. So they're obsessed with getting rid of population. And that's the biggest thing I fear with AI, is that, they talk like they're going to give everybody universal basic income, but at some point they're just going to consider everybody useless eaters. They're going to say, why are we funding all these people? So we're just glad to see you kicking it, Santa. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, I got a red suit tonight. And my rocket Santa back here behind me, which is made by, anyway. So Susan, who was the wife of, she used to come on our channel. Susan Bond used to come in her some. But Randy Bly, her husband, he used to be a regular here. He passed away, unfortunately. So in that map, Russia would acquire Ukraine and potentially part of Eastern Europe. And I don't know if Russia's running out of gas. They're being kicked pretty hard right now. They might have a comeback, but they're going to have a tough time. The drones are hitting them hard. In fact, it's got Putin on political thin ice at home right now. The drone warfare is a game changer. We got to get prepared for it. We got to be more prepared. And I said this some time back. We needed cheap weapons. I said this a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that, getting all our stuff from the big high-end defense companies wasn't working for us. That it was, we were spending way too much on missiles, and it was unnecessary. It's like back in the space launch days when it was just Boeing and Lockheed Martin, you'd pay $20,000 a pound for launch. And now you're paying a few thousand because of SpaceX. What defense world needed was a SpaceX. Well, they got one now. It's called Anduril. They got a few of them new upcoming companies too. So David Icke talked about the reptilians today. Well, that's what some of them are claiming the so-called space aliens are. And I've seen where Harold Pudoff says there's 4 species, and one of them apparently is reptilian, insectoid, gray, and Nordics. I don't know. I think they're fallen angels for the most part. I think you can find them in the Book of Enoch. So there you are, my friends. That's my thoughts on it. I go a little lighter on that when I'm talking on galactic grades, but I do talk about it. I do hint at it. I have said that. But, I see DJT had enough money. These secret societies working through the American political realm. Termites has not. Yeah, he can avoid some of that. But, he was a New York billionaire. I always tell you, put your faith in no man, him included. He's not perfect by a long shot. And I think this Epstein stuff is still a big stain on him, even though apparently he was the guy incorporated with the FBI and turned Epstein in. The way Pam Bondi handled it was highly suspect. That's why I did a video with Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Maggino. I did a video, and the thumbnail was they all had big long noses like Pinocchio. In any event, guys, but we do not need to let the Democrats take over in the midterms because they got some horrendous plans. If you think things are bad now, forget about it. They put in the new Green Deal again. What they're talking about stacking the Supreme Court, making Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. states, they're trying to set it up where they would have permanent control. If they get power again, they're going for total permanent control. And it'll be socialism and globalism. They'll throw the borders wide open and let all kind of demonic forces in this country. This country will lose our country. I fully believe if we don't get out and vote against them, we're going to lose the country. I'm not saying the Republicans are perfect. No. But Democrats, oh my God, they're scaring me. They are downright scary. So that is something to think about. But anyway, let's go back to this China thing. So Trump is kind of acting like he's pedaling a little bit soft on Taiwan. That maybe he won't give them all the arms, but some of that's kind of locked into some agreements. But Taiwan is the chink in the armor of the first island chain. If Taiwan falls to China, Taiwan's wide open to the oceans. That's exactly what they want. So we've got to really watch it just from the military standpoint. My batteries are getting weak over here. So I just want to point that out to you, that China is the big game. That's what we got to keep an eye on. And that's why I was talking about the jingle in our pocket. If we lose sight over the long-term game just for a little more jingle in our pocket, we run the risk of losing our country for that jingle. And then it won't jingle no more then. Same way with this midterm elections. I'd like the younger people may work. Well, we got to get the younger people out of this socialist mindset they've been mesmerized with in college and the school systems. Who is Mordred? I don't know who that is, Wizard. Anyway, is that out of what's that fiction series that the British lady wrote? She's actually a conservative, believe it or not. I can't think of the name of it right now. All politicians are green by the elites. There's too much of that. There is too much of that. But, hopefully we can get some grassroots people in there. That's what we need to. That's why we need to We need term limits. Now, Trump is promoting term limits. Excalibur. Oh, Excalibur, Mort the author, King Arthur. Okay, gotcha. All righty. So, folks, I gotta watch my battery here. I think a deal has been struck, whereas China can certainly take Taiwan if we take Iran. I don't know that one because Rubio said that our stand on Taiwan has not changed. He said that about 3 times. Rubio certainly don't want to see it happen. Man, I think Rubio probably has a better chance of being president than Vance, although either one, I would accept either one as president. Anyway, guys, my head stopped up tonight. Sorry, I had a rough start here. I'm juggling with some computer problems. Didn't get the kind of start I wanted to. And then I didn't even know if I was live or not because the way it was showing them, I couldn't tell for several minutes if I was live or not. I didn't know if I was just talking to air or talking to the chat room here, or the people will be watching in the morning. Yeah, sometimes they don't give me the right kind of indicators. Georgia Guidestones, that's right, Arnold. That's their 10 Commandments. It sure is. How you get the population down to 500 million. And, what's his name, started CNN. I'm going to bring a lot tonight. Ted Turner. Ted Turner was throwing around numbers like 200 million. So, guys, and Ted Turner had a big meeting with him and Oprah and some other famous big wigs, exploring how to get the population down. And Bill Gates is part of that crowd. So I have no love for any of those people. I'll tell you that right now. So, folks, we've got to be vigilant. We've got to stay vigilant. That's the main thing. Because China, is going to be a problem for some time, even though they're falling. Even if they crumble some, they're not going to crumble completely. Robotics is probably going to snatch them from total failure. But we need to watch how we did Ted Turner on the Guidestones. That's what a lot of people wonder. Is he the guy that set that up? Something we don't know. He might have been connected to him. It's a strong possibility. We do not know the identity of who set the Guidestones. Some people thought it was the Rosicrucians at one time, but there's no indicator that, he's a suspect for that. Absolutely. Somebody went as a rep, called himself RC Christian, went to that marble company and was Elberston, Georgia, and contracted to have all that work done. Now that it's getting close, they decided to take it out, I guess. Anyway, so folks, I can take you guys down quite a rabbit hole. Ted Turner, Skull and Bones, and Guidestones, Byron. I don't doubt any of it. I wouldn't trust. Look, who did Ted Turner marry? Hanoi Jane. What does that tell you? Married Hanoi Jane. And some people want to give her the time of day. So that should tell you a lot. Right, Arnold. There's been some articles coming out on that lately. I might throw them up on Galactic Grids. A lot of my Galactic Grids visitors, though, are pure space guys, science guys, or UFO enthusiasts. They have a hard. I'm trying to drill it out to them just a little bit. They have a hard time picking up what I'm putting down, so I'm just trying to wet the ground a little bit to get them used to the idea. You guys know where I'm at on that. In any event, so this whole deal with China's got me a little antsy. But Rubio saying that we're on the same spot with Taiwan. But here's the thing to know. There's been some recent articles coming out saying that it looks like Taiwan is actually gearing up to attack Taiwan. And Taiwan says, hey, we're not going to give up our sovereignty, our freedom, That's a tacit way of saying they're an independent country, which they really are. But it's the stating of it that gets China all up in arms. And China said if Taiwan declares themselves to be independent, they would attack. And more or less, they just kind of said that. So we may see a war over there pretty darn quick. And if we don't get involved, we're still going to pay for it in the long run. Then China will be loose. It will be turning the dragon loose. That's something to watch out for. You're right, Arnold. You're right. So, in any event, I've told you guys the first thing you need to do is get right with your maker. How many times have I said that? I really said get right with your maker. The apple of the world's eyes is North America. We're the best continent in the world to grow on, to live on, to have a progressive economy. And that's what I've showed you where the Minister of Defense of the old general, he's still alive. And China actually is alleged to have put out a speech that said that they would use biowarfare against the United States and that Taiwan was really just a distraction. Their main target was us. And they deemed they couldn't let any of us survive if they were going to take us, that they just had to wipe us out. Biowarfare would be the way to do it. I've talked about that. That's I'll tell you guys, China's our biggest threat. Don't make no bones about it. But they're just somewhat a little bit second to the New World Order crowd. Anyway, my friends, I'm on dangerous thin ice talking this stuff here. Dangerous thin ice. But if YouTube kills my channel, I'm about one. I don't care. I'm telling you guys what it is right now. I'm just kind of putting it out there. And that puts me at a lot of risk. I'm going to forget Bruce Lee. Enter the Dragon. Yeah, that was the name of the video, maybe, right? Enter the Dragon. And who else was there? Chuck Norris. Good old Chuck Norris. So, yeah, he's probably up there talking to Jesus right now. So, will you believe what's going on down here? Wow. Yeah, Jesus was give it time. Any of it, my friends. So what I'm here to tell you is that this whole deal with China kind of stinks a little bit. A lot of people are crying they wouldn't make no big deals. We got some ag deal out of it. Maybe they tamped down the military adventurism in China a little bit, but I doubt it. Trump says that they're not going to try to take Taiwan while he's president. I don't know. That could just be what Xi's feeding him. Because, Sun Tzu's, you're not going to tell somebody exactly what you're going to do. Your objective is to make them relax. And then you stab them in the back when they're about to sleep. So don't trust the Chinese. Don't trust the Iranians. Don't trust them. And don't trust people from the City of London. I mean, the Bank of London crowd. Plenty of good people in the United Kingdom. But, there are plenty of good people in Europe. They don't want the European Union on them. I like Superfoot Bill Wallace, but man, I do remember Chuck. All right, so in any event, guys, I can't go much longer here. We're running out of battery and everything else. I got to get up early. Yeah, I've started a new job, but worse than the job is the sun is getting me up here early. I can't sleep. The sun wakes me up, and it comes up at 5:30 in the morning here. That's killing me. That's why you're not seeing me much like that. And juggling with computers and trying to get something working. I've got the big laptop turned in to be fixed, but every time I turn a computer in, I sign off from the different apps, and then when I sign back on, everything ain't working right. This computer that's in front of me, the little mid-size Lenovo, I went live on a zillion times off YouTube, and I set up to go live, and it wouldn't do it. It wouldn't do it. I was trying to go live off it. Fortunately, I got it working over here, but it wouldn't even try. It told me it was going live, but nothing happened. I don't know why. But Zoom over here is working. So just weird. Just weird. Anyway, I'm having problems between Zoom and YouTube. Yeah, operating system is not part of that. It's Zoom and YouTube right now. That's the problem I'm having at the moment. I had hardware problems. I had the speakers blow out on this one, and the speakers blown out or blowing out on the one I just turned in. I've never played them loud, so that's crazy. In any event, I just got the speakers working on this thing. So I was about where I had no sound on nothing. Crazy. But you know, that adage about redundancy and prepping. I have to give Brad over at what's the name of his channel? Uh, shit, I don't watch him anymore, so I can't remember his channel name. I give him credit for saying that. What is the name of his channel? Anyway, he used to always tell us, and I'm a system safety guy. Redundancy is always big for me. Uh, he says, three is two, two is one, and one is none. I got 4 computers and I've had trouble getting any of them working. Even after they've been repaired, get them back from repair. Like that big laptop. As soon as I got back from the repair shop, the speakers were bad. I think they blew them out at the repair shop. And that was Best Buy's repair shop. They're Geek Squad. I don't like Geek Squad. So I didn't send it back to Geek Squad anymore. I sent it back to the local guy here who don't charge much and does better work. I spend more money in gas running up the Geek Squad than they keep it for weeks on end. So I'm struggling to get everything running again. If you get a mini split, you'll be probably collect anywhere from 2 gallons upwards of 5 gallons a day from the humidity. There's not a lot of humidity here. Not a lot of humidity, but anyway. So uh anyway, guys. So one of my biggest challenges is that it usually takes me to midnight to get articles posted. So I got started out about 11:30. I would have got started earlier if I hadn't had a Zoom problem. It's always been something. I've been juggling computer stuff here the last few days, but my other biggest issue has been the just the sun coming up. 5:30 in the morning. When you know, a lot of nights when I'm doing these videos, you guys, I'm going to bed at 4. That's usually when I go to bed. An hour and a half before the sun comes up kills me, literally. Yeah, I'm having trouble with this. It's a big issue for me. Yes, Japan was controlling Taiwan. The United States forced Japan to give Taiwan back to China, but it was Japanese. And they gave it to the Republic of China. So when Chiang Kai-shek was fleeing the insurgency of the Communist Chinese Party, he fled to Formosa Island, which we call Taiwan. So anyway, all that aside, guys, so we'll talk a little bit about Cuba. So we know Iran is on the precipice. They're either going to have to make a really good peace deal and make it pronto fast, or they're going to get clobbered. There's not much ifs, ands, and ways about it. It don't look like. They've got to make a peace deal, and they got to make it right, and they got to make it fast, and it better include that nuclear material. Not something that proves they're not going to get a bomb, or they're going to get clobbered. That's what I'm expecting. And we'll probably know the outcome of that in a matter of just a few days. China may go for Taiwan. The sea states won't be good for an invasion again until September, but they could quarantine them. They could put a blockade on them. They could pummel them with missiles right before they would invade. You can expect that. So that could, or they could just blockade them. That may be more likely. Big long blockade, starve them out. We'll see what happens. Let's hope they don't come down to that. But if it does, if we lose Taiwan, we're in a world of trouble in more ways than you can imagine. The economic impact on the chips, the loss of the chips alone, will far exceed the cost of oil going up. It will be horrendous. And that chip manufacturing company in Arizona, it's going to take, what, 2 or 3 more years to come up to par. So it's going to take a bit for that to come on. Yeah, it's really like the rogue demagogue. Excuse me, I'm talking about rogue demagogue. Yes, it is basically a continuation of the Civil War. They didn't entirely win it because they couldn't take out King Chek's forces that fled to Formosa. So that's really what it is. And Xi Jinping would like to accomplish in his lifetime, and he's getting old. He wants to do it while he can do it because he wants to credit. He would like to be bigger than Mao, or at least on the same level or bigger than Mao. Mao couldn't do it. So if he could claim he did it, he would claim something that he was bigger than Mao Zedong. That is his dream. So his desire to take Taiwan is driven by his ego. And he's a cult of personality, and only yes men talk to him. So he don't get good information. He lives in a delusional state. That's what happens to somebody when they get so high up that ivory tower, especially when they're a dictator and they knock down all the people around them, except for some of the yes men, some of them. So everybody coming to him is going to tell him exactly what he wants to hear, or they cease to exist. So that creates a state of delusion. You got a state of delusion with little Kim in North Korea also, and even Putin to some degree. Putin's got some dose of reality right now. So they're all dangerous. Make no ifs, ands, or bones about it. And I wouldn't give you 2 cents for Ukraine because Volodymyr Zelensky is a piece of work himself. I feel sorry for the people there. They're having a rough time, and even the Russian people. These leaders play us all against each other. I've said that a zillion times too. Anyway, all that aside, Cuba. Cuba's been a base for China's had a big intel base in Cuba. So if Cuba falls, and they could do it, we just had a big the CIA flew down. The head of the CIA went down and talked to the leadership of Cuba, including Raul Castro, and they're about to indict him because Cuba shot down 2 Cessnas. Now, Cuba said that they invaded their airspace, but the UN says no, they weren't actually in, uh, they weren't in Cuban airspace when they got shot down. And so they're trying to indict Raul Castro on war crimes. And it's the same kind of thing they did with Maduro, and the message isn't lost on them. So will Cuba fold and negotiate, or are they going to face a Maduro-style operation on them? We shall see soon, probably after this thing with Iran blows over. So Trump has talked about putting the USS Abraham Lincoln off the coast of Cuba. Well, you'd have to take it from Iran to do that, which means Iran would fall. My speakers are turning red on me. I'm in my mics. I'm about to lose them. So had a granddad who flew sorority missions, the Cuban Missile Crisis after he flew the Berlin airlift. You mean sortie missions, yeah. After he flew World War II bombing campaign of Japan, he said before he died, wow, he had was that a Bronze Star medal there? What is that? They got 3 Bronze Stars fighting in World War II. He was on Battle of the Bulge, among other things. They're sending your computer codes to sabotage your equipment. Maybe they don't like me because I'm not a friend of China. If you're not a friend of China, YouTube does not like you. So let's kind of glance through the messages here real quick. That sun is going to be getting me up in a hurry. Let me scroll through the chat room over here, see if there's anything big I missed here. Note wise, I think I've been kind of looking at it. So 14 is my check-in number. Was watching another Galactic Greatness video. Well, thank you for that. Got Soul's Eye of Joel in the house. Good to see you here tonight. She's a little close to here. Hexafoods, Colorado Jan, and hats off Colorado Jan. She always sends me donations in the mail. Thank you for that. Argyle, and I don't think Lynn, no, I don't. I think they're more likely to blow it up. I agree with that. Why invade it? Just blow it up. Hamburger Hill. I knew people that fought on Hamburger Hill. They said they took it at great loss to their comrades and then was told to give it back. That was some of your, what was this, the Department of Defense Secretary's name back. Everything he touched turned to crap. He was considered the mathematician, supposed to have been the bright young guy under Kennedy, but he was a CFR guy big time. McNamara, what a piece of work. He had this idea of MiG sanctuaries, all kind of crazy stuff. How can you win a war with an idiot like McNamara running? He also run Ford Motor Company in the ground. Everything he touched turned to crap. So I'm kind of run through the chat real fast. I'm not gonna read everything because I'm about to run out of battery over here. Yeah. I talked about the city's trap here tonight. Yeah, Lloyd's is connected to that. You're right, Jason. Lloyd's is part of it. That's part of where Trump kind of jabbed them because, Lloyd's is supposedly trying to run up all the insurance rates for ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. And he said, no, we'll insure it. The United States will. Kind of took the wind out of the Lloyd's of London, which he kicked the city of London there. Our scientists are missing and China's scientists are missing. That's a good question. Yeah, I saw that. Basically, I think both sides are on the same side of not wanting certain things to get out. Kings to the east. Well, they're definitely to the east. Purple Rain, Carney is Chapman, and WEF. That exactly. Exactly. How did a country take somebody who went to England, ran the Bank of England, and then elect them prime minister? What? Be like us electing, the prime minister of England, the president of the United States. I'm glad they got to be a citizen to be elected here. Rasputin, the mad monk. It's a strange guy. Elon's going to take us to the moon. Well, he better do it soon if he's going to get us to the moon. Actually, I'm working on a lunar lander right now. Last words are for the fools who've already said enough. Oh, is that Groucho Marx or Karl Marx? Who said that, Jason? Uh-oh. Well, I'm about to lose it here in a minute. I'd hurry up and get through this stuff. Rockefeller, Rothschild. Yeah, he was with them. Rockefellers was in with the Rothschilds. Big time. Big time. I'm gonna try to scroll through this real fast. I'm gonna miss a few things. Sorry, guys. Well, what's that? I just see some comment. Oh, what we should do is pull back and go take over another planet like Russia did with Venus. Well, they didn't take it over. I did a video about why we should colonize Venus instead of Mars. It's actually a better option. I need to go in more detail on that. First two cousins, they want to go after Canada and Greenland. Yeah, Pierre Trudeau is a big part of all that. In fact, his son looks just like Fidel. You can do some research on that. And there you go. Trudeau's exactly chubby heavy. Oh, I'm seeing everything going red over here. I'm about to lose my video audio. So scroll down the bottom here. Two wrongs don't make a right. That's exactly true. My dad taught me that when I was a kid. Two wrongs don't make a right. I'm seeing red over here on my speakers. About to lose it, guys. So, with all that said, let's just go straight to it here. Oh, one thing, guys. I don't know. Oh, I don't even have it up on this computer. Never mind. Check out, guys, if you want to get away from products that are contaminated, go to switchgreg.com. If you want to get away from supporting the House of Klaus, the WEF, whenever you buy all this junk from the big box stores, all these brands are owned by the 12 companies and controlled by BlackRock, which is now Larry Fink's running that, and the House of Klaus. Yeah, if you want to support that and you want to support the world where you're going to own nothing and have no privacy and be happy and ride around your tricycle in a 15-minute city and eat and see bugs and keep buying that junk. If you don't want to support that, go to switchgreg.com. Got clean products, not full of all the contaminants that they're shoveling out at you, but check it out. Switchgreg.com. And my friends, Kel W. Lee and Jeff Northwest Johnny showed sat pictures of installations in Cuba. Oh, yeah, they got a lot of stuff down there. Russians, Chinese. That's all the reasons. All right, guys, we're going to go straight to the egg count. We're going to call it a night. It is already early here. I got to get in bed. The sun's come up a little bit. So, time for guessing. How many eggs to harvest today? How many eggs to harvest today? We're going to wrap it up. We're going to go. How many eggs to harvest today? I'll need to check before I go. I'll check my phone and see if there's anybody that's sent a donation through my website. How many eggs to harvest today? All right, guys, I don't see any guesses rolling yet. How many eggs I get from my hens today? All right, now we got some guesses coming in. Keep going. I got people guessing the same number. Keep going. Keep going. How many eggs I get today? Keep going. I'm not seeing a number yet. Keep going. Y'all slow at guessing today. I'm getting a flood of guesses. How many eggs are harvested today? Keep going. Yeah, sometimes I get as few as 3, but it's more than that today. Let's keep going. It was a day not too long ago. I only had 1. Now I got more than 0. Whoa, we got it. Justin Easterlin got it. 6. Justin Easterlin, you got the guess number correct. 6. Got 6 eggs today. All right, folks, don't guess anything for a little bit. When the numbers stop rolling, I'll ask the next question. Hopefully my mic will last. No, it was 6, not 11, I wish. I had 11 one time. That's most of my hens early. I think twice I got 11 eggs out of them. Turns out my hens are old. That's the problem. All righty, folks. When the numbers stop rolling. Hey, Kim Possible's in the house. Good to see you, Kim. All right, folks. How many of these eggs? Now we know it's 6. How many of the eggs are Easter eggs? How many Easter eggs I get today? How many Easter eggs today? My mic's still working? Yes, my mic is still working. Not for long, though. How many Easter eggs today? Wow, we got the leg on here. Yeah, Kim Possible's in the house. Good to see you. 2. Wow, first guess got it. How do you say that? It's 2. Freddie Kroger. Freddie Kroger with a PH instead of F. Freddie Kroger. 2 eggs. He got it first. 2 Easter eggs. All right, guys. Here's the eggs. My eyes bother me. There they are. 2 Easter eggs. I put them on the end so it'd be easier to see. Those are not Easter eggs, just these 2 right here. 2 Easter eggs, 6 eggs total. That's how many we got today. And my speakers are about to bite the dust on me here. My mics, I mean. Yeah. Oh, everybody says get a DJI mic. I think it's a waste of money. They don't hold the charge for very long at all. They don't takes too long to charge and don't hold it long enough. So definitely got some eggs here. Alrighty, folks. But for 11 hens, that's not what it ought to be. I should be getting a dozen eggs, 11 or 12 eggs a day. But it's not happening. I should actually be getting 11 a day at least, average, or something close to that. I'm getting about half that. Anyway, my friends, some days I'll get 7 or 8, and then some days it'll be 3 or 4, 2, 1. But it averages out at about around 6. But it varies up and down. So I'm gonna have to get some fresh hens. I'll have to have some stew meat here soon. Anyway, yeah. So I want to thank everybody for coming here and watch. Thank you, Super Chatters. We had some nice Super Chats tonight. Carrie and Mr. Forrest Garlic. How was that name again? Let's go back and look at that. So I'll find that Super Chat. Mr. Flavors of the Forest Garlic. That's a great name. Flavors of the Forest Garlic. Oh, my computer here is doing silly things on me. And Carrie. Greg, think about growing moringa tree. Well, I heard it couldn't grow here because it's not hot enough. But that's what I was reading. It's not hot enough here to grow moringa trees. It gets too cold. But I think somebody here is growing them, so I need to check with him and see what he's doing. Well, I got seeds from moringa. I just hadn't planted them yet because I was told they wouldn't grow here. But you got to remember, I'm a mile high. It's not like down south of here. It's cool. It gets cold up here. It does get cold up here. But I know but this person I know that's growing's got a big greenhouse. I need to figure out if they're growing theirs in a greenhouse or if they can actually grow them outside. So I don't know. Defunction 100,000 miles. One if I can grow them, I will. I've got some seeds to get started with. I grow it where I'm at, and I'm at level 8, keeping in pots in my greenhouse. Okay, so you got to put it in your greenhouse. Okay. I don't have a greenhouse yet. Not here. I had a big one in Alabama. I built a 75 by 24-foot greenhouse, 16-foot tall ceiling and crest. So that was my first greenhouse. Yeah, I went small for starters, right? Well, we'll see. Yeah, maybe that's the trick. Put them in the greenhouse in the summer. Well, I'm planning to build some Wallapini style things here in the Universal Habitat home. Alrighty, folks, I got to go because the sun's going to be up here in about 4 hours, and my rooster will start crowing in about 3 hours. So nervous chickens make less eggs. I found out my chickens. I got the guy. He talked like they weren't that old, but I talked to people he got them from. They said, "No, your chickens are old." Oops! I just found out that last Saturday. So I know some brands of feed make less eggs. That's true. I've switched up brands. The stuff I'm using now is all great. That's true. The Purina stuff you was getting from Tractor Supply is no good. So, hey, I want to once again, thank you, Super Chatters. Thank you, mods, for keeping the channel clean, scaring all the trolls away. They seldom dare come here anymore. Well, we used to get invaded by trolls, but you guys were tossing them out left and right. So they kind of stay away now. They've learned their lesson over here. Thanks to you guys. And I want to thank everybody for watching. And so I will try to come back more, but I didn't put up the articles, not just because it takes so much time, but I would have been on a little bit earlier had I not had computer issues. I wound up starting on a computer over there, and I had to sign in, do different things. And so I don't know why I didn't take on here. I do not know yet what happened. So I've got to see if they go like maybe I just be turn it off, turn it back on. I've run Zoom off this computer many, many times, so I didn't want to do it this time. I don't know. Don't know. Well, it didn't work here, but it works over here. Didn't even try. It would say I click the live stream. It would say it was going live, but it never would open up the screen. It didn't open up. It didn't go through with it. You know, but when you go in between apps, they're supposed to have API codes that you use. But why they not work here, but they worked over here? I don't get it. I don't get it, guys. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody for being here once again. So please share my videos. Just remember that YouTube has been stomping me. A lot of people don't get notifications, so check back regularly. See if I put up a video. Maybe keep an eyeball out, see if I'm going live. But if you don't see me live, just check back because the notifications aren't coming out like they ought to. Well, we had a fair crowd here for this late start tonight. We got 3 thumbs up. Let me hit the refresh here. Is that right? Can't be. I got even one in the house, and it's got to be more thumbs up than that. I probably had 300 or 400 cycle through here tonight. So about maybe 1 in 5 give me a thumbs up. I don't know why that is. All right, we got 77 thumbs up. Good, but we got more people in the house. We got thumbs up. So please hit the thumbs up on the way out. Help the algorithms. Check back. Make sure you're subscribed. Click the all button and bang the bell and click the all button and leave a comment in my video like tomorrow morning or sometime or maybe after I post it. So do that. Anyway, guys, thank you all again for being here. And just remember, keep your eyes wide open, head on swivel. Times are getting interesting. It's happening really fast. Things are going to be changing. We're going to see so much change in the next few years. It's going to be mind blowing. So some good, some bad, some real bad. But we're on a roller coaster, guys. The roller coaster ride is just about to start. If you think we've been on a roller coaster, no. We've just been clocking up the top of the hill, and she's about to get turned loose. So watch out, my friends. I just want to thank you all for being here. And let's see, I'm over here on this computer. My keyboard's here. Yeah, I'm kind of discombobulated tonight. So once again, to one and all, do stay centered, get right with your maker, and really keep your eyes wide ahead on. So, one other thing I want to mention. You know what? Somebody just joined in tonight now. UNQ80. Listen, guys, there was an explosive device found on a dam, and they only found it because they were inspecting the dam for repair. This is a dam near Mobile, Alabama. I plan to do a video on this topic alone if I can find the time to do it. I did an entire video, 2-3 years ago, about the threat of dams. Dams are a huge vulnerability. You can't believe how much damage can be done by taking out dams. I hope they start inspecting these. If you're living downstream from a dam, you better stay very aware and consider that dam may get taken out. And dams upstream from it may get taken out. You could have cascading failures downstream. This could take out a lot of power transmission lines, as bridges, destroy farmland, some of the best farmland in our countries in these river bottoms, take out communities. It would be horrendous, friends. And that is a sign of sleeper cells, potentially. There could be lone wolves and sleeper cells about to get unleashed upon us. And then when you got people just going crazy, right now people seem to be losing their minds. And that also goes back to another thing I'm planning to do a video on, that mouse utopia. Yeah, I plan to do it. Look it up, guys. Mouse utopia. So again, thank you all for watching. This is why I'm ready to keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. Seriously. And with that, I'm going to say to one and all, a good night. And